Okay? Did everybody hear that question? Okay. He wants me to explain the Council of 13. I'll explain what that is, you were probably wondering. And what their purpose or thrust is. Okay. All right. If you'll all, just give you a second, reach in your billfold. You can put it in the offering plate later. Reach in your billfold and take out a $1 bill real quick. We'll settle the whole thing. I'll let you ask your federal government later how this got on the $1 bill. Okay. On the back of the $1 bill, you'll see the crest with the pyramid in it. Now, Dr. Rasmussen has upstairs the whole crest. You only have the words left out of it on the blocks. But there are sections. His is a little behind time. There's a few new organizations. His dates back to the 1800s. But that pyramid in the Illuminati consists of 3 pyramids and a sphinx. But their crest is this crest. The Illuminati is the occult organization that we belong to. It means the light bearers. The witches call it Mariah, the conquering wind. But it's the capstone above. The eye is Lucifer. The triangle of the capstone is the tribunal of the Rothschild family, which is called the Holy Family. They lead the Illuminati. They would be Paul, Peter, for the Catholics, all the saints, and Mary, and everybody rolled into one, and the Pope. They are the voice. The doctrine of the occult teaches that Lucifer comes and sits at their dining room table. When they see the table, they leave 13 chairs out, and the 13th one is for Lucifer to sit in himself. They set him a plate and everything. Now, I've been there in the mansion, and I've seen this go on. And they, in turn, direct to the top block of that pyramid. And that top block is the Council of 13 of the Grand Druid Council, which I was a member of. Now, the Druid system of government is not that the politicians run everything. It is the same system that Rome had. The priests let whoever wants to rule the government, but the priest must rule the ruler. Now, I'll let that sink on you for a while. And I want to throw this in. It will cause a lot of controversy, I'm sure, but it's a fact. Since the time of Woodrow Wilson, including him, there has never been a president of the United States that was not an Illuminati, that did not belong. Now, that'll shatter a few people's ideas about a Christian president right now, but it's a fact anyway. And the Grand Druids, although they're just supposedly everyday people like me, you look at me now, I'm this way. I was a different way when I was in witchcraft. And part of my authority was whatever governors, senators, or political people were in my area took direct political orders from me, which I in turn did not think of, but simply translated to them from the orders that we got from London.
Okay, the person speaking in that clip was John Todd. If you're not familiar with John Todd, I mean, it's a long story. He was giving lectures at churches in the 70s trying to and succeeding, I think, at unveiling a lot of the stuff that people are still having trouble comprehending or believing, or they just think it's just unreal, that these things couldn't be real. And in the churches, I mean, they read the Bible about all this supernatural stuff that's in the Bible, demons, and on, but when someone suggests that these things are still very prevalent, they just can't go there. It can't be real. But anyway, I would highly recommend checking him out. If you're not familiar, there's a lot of demonization of John Todd on the net as well. I think there was a very heavy propaganda campaign to discredit him. He was being effective in his own way, and I'll leave links. Okay, Chapter 5E, Masonic Symbolism on Our Money. The New Babylon's government-sanctioned currency is the dollar, and it is the most widely used and recognized currency in the world. There are no Egyptian pyramids in the United States, So why is there one on the back of our nation's currency unit, the $1 bill? You already know the answer to that question at this point, right, friend? The proponents of the Great Plan have so little regard for their slaves and feel that their agenda is so far enough along that it cannot be stopped, that they had the gall to put their occult Freemasonic Great Plan symbolism right in front of your face on our money. The occult design of our dollar bill was first debuted in 1933, celebrating the exact same year the Federal Reserve, also known as the proponents of the Great Plan, took possession over the country. Coincidence? No, unfortunately not. Not the 5, 10, 20, or any other denomination of dollars, but the $1 bill, because that is the representative unit of the money system that was used to build up the political, economic, military power of New Babylon, the dollar. What the Federal Reserve did in a nutshell was to give the U.S. government a credit card with no limit. To make the payments and interest on this credit card, the Fed simply generated more money and loaned it to our federal government. Uncle Sam then went on a military spending spree, and the United States, New Babylon, conquered the world once again. The story of what has happened and what they are trying to do is literally right on our money, via the imagery of the Great Seal of the United States. That's right, on our $1 bill. I want you to take note, because it is also important that this story is on the back and not the front of the $1 bill, the hidden side of the dollar. Take one out of your pocket right now and look at it. There is, in my opinion, only one significant image regarding the symbolism of the Great Plan on the front of the dollar. This is the image of the alleged 33rd degree Freemason George Washington, who was a full-fledged participant of the Great Plan, and who is admired by most unknowing Americans. The Illuminati-owned Federal Reserve put him on there to pay homage to the fact that he was indeed working to fulfill Nimrod's vision of a new world order. However, when you turn it over to see the reverse of the dollar, which means the other side of it, you'll see both sides, the obverse front and reverse back of the Great Seal of the United States, on display for all to see. Pay attention now to what I just said. The Great Seal is the official seal to the entire world of our country, the United States of America. No other country on the planet has such overt occult display of the numerous symbols of the proponents of the Great Plan. And this is because the United States is literally a reincarnated version of King Nimrod's Babylon. After the non-Jacobin Illuminati branch of Freemasons placed the occult symbolism on the Great Seal when it was finalized in 1782, the reverse side of it remained hidden from the public for 150 years, until alleged 33rd degree Freemason and Theosophist Henry Wallace convinced fellow 33rd degree alleged Freemason FDR to put it on the back of the $1 bill to announce to the world that they were firmly in control of the United States in 1933. Looking at the back of the dollar, you may recognize the all-seeing eye of Osiris, Horus, Nimrod, on top of the Egyptian pyramid that we have already talked about. But there is much more Masonic Great Plan symbolism that is hidden in plain sight. To begin with, the Great Seal, and therefore also our money, is replete with the number 13. Yes, there were 13 original colonies, and the reason there were 13 and not 12 or 14 is that the number 13 is a very special to the occultists running the world. Hopefully you will understand that the number 13 was very important to the most significant of our founding fathers, being that the most influential were high-level Freemasons, and this is why there were 13 original colonies to start with. In occult numerology, the number 13 represents depravity and rebellion against authority, and in particular God's authority over us. This is also why there were 13 families who comprised the original Illuminati. not 12, not 14, 13. The number 13 is incredibly significant to the occult beliefs of these people. It absolutely does have to do with the occult, and that is the main point of them using various numbers like they do. So viewing the reverse, the back of the dollar bill, you can see both sides of our country's official seal. It is the obverse, or front of this very seal, that is displayed on the front of the President's podium when he is speaking publicly. Little do you know that the back of that placard hanging on the podium, the reverse of our Great Seal, is again intended to show who is really running the country from behind the scenes, the proponents of the Great Plan. Quote, "The combination of the phoenix," in parentheses changed to a bald eagle now, "the pyramid, and the all-seeing eye is more than chance or coincidence. There is nothing about the early struggles of the colonists to suggest such a selection to farmers, shopkeepers, and country gentlemen. There is only one possible origin for these symbols, and that is the secret societies which came to this country 150 years before the Revolutionary War. Most of the patriots who achieved American independence belonged to these societies, and derived their inspiration, courage, and high purpose from the ancient teaching. There can be no question that the Great Seal was directly inspired by these orders of the human quest, and that I set forth the purposes for this nation as that purpose was seen and known to the founding fathers." Unquote. Manly P. Hall, confirmed 33rd degree Freemasonic prophet. At the left side of the back of the dollar, within the circle, is the back or reverse side of the Great Seal of the United States. Again, you always see the front part of the seal on the presidential podium, but the back of the seal, the hidden part, just like the role of the Great Plan in our lives, shows an incomplete Egyptian pyramid with the all-seeing eye staring at you. The Freemasons tell us publicly that this is the, quote, eye of providence, unquote, which they say means the eye of God. But they fail to discern that the God they are referring to is the original Sun, S-U-N, God, King Nimrod, the founder of the Great Plan. Now, staying at the left side of the back side of the bill here, within the reverse side of the Great Seal, over the top of the pyramid spells Annuit Coeptis. This is Latin and means he looks with a favor upon. Under the pyramid spells Novus Ordo Seclorum. This is also Latin and translated means, quote, a new secular order, unquote, or also could be translated as a new order of the ages, or the New World Order. Put the two statements together and you will see what they are talking about. They are announcing what is happening right in front of your face, and only their fellow occultists are able to look at these symbols and words and how they are used and what context, and know the truth of what is being said and what is going on. When the Illuminati fully took the reins of the United States government in 1933, and therefore its hard-working citizens, they thought they had the tiger by the tail, and arrogantly announced it and placed it right in front of your face that exact same year. Okay, staying on the back of the dollar at the left side, the pyramid within the circle has, guess how many? 13 layers of bricks. This is, again, meant to represent the powerful occult number 13. Yes, it is unlucky to you, but not to these occultists. Remember that. The Roman numerals underneath the 13-layer pyramid add up to 1776, not meant to represent the year of our country's independence, which was in fact 1783. 1776 was the year that the birth announcement of the resurrected Babylon was sent out via the Declaration of Independence, and this is why that number is on there, paying homage to the Great Plan. They were announcing the birth to the world via the Declaration of Independence of the United States, which they fully knew was intended to be New Babylon. Their prophecy on this matter was certainly precise, wasn't it? The United States turned out to be the most powerful, corrupt, raunchiest, filth-infested entity in history, comparable only to the original Babylon, and that was the goal. Also, please note on the back of the dollar that the pyramid is incomplete, as the floating eye of Horus, or Nimrod, within the triangle sits above the pyramid. This signifies that the plan is not yet complete, but is close to completion. The all-seeing eye is Nimrod, watching over his resurrected Babylon from the spirit realm, waiting to be reborn via the technology created right here in the new Babylon. Remember the genetic cloning stuff we talked about. I honestly believe that the Illuminati are running around with or know the location of King Nimrod's DNA sample. This is why there was a big push in ancient Egypt to mummify the pharaohs, so they could also be brought back to life someday. Only when the New World Order, one world government, is fully in place, and the technology in place to bring Nimrod, or the Antichrist, back to life from the dead, and he has been brought back to life, will their plan be complete. Well, they are ever nearing having the first part of that equation in place, and I believe they probably already have the second part of that equation solved, or are damn close. The third part could very well have happened, and King Nimrod, also known as the Antichrist, is possibly alive right now. We are extremely close to the apocalyptic events happening on the earth described in the book of Revelation, among other holy writ. Panning across the dollar from left to right, at the center of the dollar it says, quote, "In God we trust," unquote. Hopefully you know now what God that is. Certainly not the Most High God. It is the God of Babylon, King Nimrod, and this statement is on all of our money, both paper and coin. For a country that supposedly has a separation of church and state, don't you find that a bit odd that a purely religious statement is on our money? It is because there is a separation between the one true God and Nimrod's new Babylonian government. There is no separation between the God on our money, Nimrod, and the new Babylon. They are one and the same. Now pan to the right side of the back of the bill, and within the circle is contained the obverse or front of the Great Seal. Again, this is the side you see when the President is speaking from the podium to the citizens of New Babylon. On the front of the seal you see an eagle, which represents the United States. It wasn't always the eagle that represented the U.S. It was changed to the eagle in 1841 from the all too obvious Freemasonic symbol of the phoenix, and this is a fact. The original phoenix was meant to represent Babylon rising from the ashes, resurrected as the United States. It's hard to count these without a magnifying glass or microscope, but there are 32 feathers on the eagle's right wing, meant to represent the 32 degrees of formal rites in the Scottish rite of Freemasonry. There are 9 tall feathers, meant to represent the 9 degrees of formal rites in the York rite of Freemasonry. Both Scottish and York rite have, as invite only, the 33rd degree, with the York rite jumping from 9th degree directly to the Luciferian 33rd degree, and this is reflected in the 33 feathers of the eagle's left wing. The significance of the left wing here, in my opinion, can be construed to meant to signify that the Great Plan conspiracy is a left wing or socialist conspiracy, and that is exactly their goal: worldwide socialism under King Nimrod. Now, look above the eagle's head. You will see 13 stars in the shape of, not the Star of David, remember, the Star of Rephaim, which is probably actually the Star of Nimrod, at least a 3,000-year-old occult symbol used in black magic rituals. The placement at the top of the front of our seal of this symbol signifies that the occult Great Plan runs the show in New Babylon. The occultists certainly did not assemble 13 pentagrams, which are also black magic symbols, in the shape of a hexagram, as a coincidence. Staying on the right side of the back of the dollar, within the front of the seal of the U.S., we have 13 leaves in the olive branch, 13 bars and stripes in the shield, 13 arrows in the right claw, and 13 letters in E pluribus unum on the ribbon, all in tribute to the proponents of the Great Plan, who own and control the United States through the Federal Reserve's monopoly over our money supply. Okay, that's the end of that subchapter, and it does seem like when something is talked about concerning money, that or the Federal Reserve or things of that nature, many people just, their eyes glaze over and they lose interest, and that's one reason why, but we've got to go through these chapters here. I mean, they've got valuable information that are, showing us where things have been planned all along to go. But, it's a lot more exciting, I guess, to talk about Bohemian Grove and child sacrifice and these things. But those are just tools, just like the money, to complete this. All right, so that's it for this one, and we'll pick up the next time on the Federal Income Tax, IRS. I'm sure that'll be real exciting to some people. Okay, I'll talk to you then.